Hello folks, you join me again in my shed. My name's Rob and this is Weekend Shedhead. I did a series of videos showing how I built the extension of my shed, which is the workbench there and my bar kitchen. But I found a load of old footage showing how I built the main part of my shed, which is 24 foot by 12 foot wide. I actually bought this as an old garage that I shipped in from probably about 20 miles away. Cleared the land at the top of my garden. Anyway, I'll show you a bit more about that in the video, and pretty much how my sort of shed story began. The footage isn't that good, so let me show you a drawing what it looked like before and what it looks like now. Okay, so this is the layout of my garden now, which is my main shed here, the extension that I built, that's then on the playlist. I've got a shed here, a shed there, my lawn there, slabs here, and then there's decking all the way down the rest of my garden, a conservatory here, and decking in the middle with shrubs going around the outside. If you notice, my garden tapers to one end there. So that's pretty much how it is now. Well, this is before, and this is my original summer house that had double French doors leading onto the garden. I had a shed in this corner, tiny shed there that I reused, and then a shed up here. Well, over time they got left. The bushes and the trees got overgrown, all the shrubs, and it was a bit of a jungle up there. Roofs had fell in as well, so it was basically a clean-up operation, all this area up the top end of my garden. I did this on a really tight budget. Every material I tried to source, if not for free, as cheaply as possible. But I'll explain that in the video. Let's take it from there. So there's the front of the old summer house. And I had to take the trees down on the side of the garden as well. Well, not trees, big bushes. Took that pond out. Then I put a shed in its place. Cost me 50 quid, I think that did. Second hand, needed a bit of work doing, so I patched it up, put new felt on, a few coats of paint, and it turned out okay. I was using that for storing tools, that sort of thing. So when I started ripping down the old sheds at the top, that shed came from the top of the garden, again gave it a lick of paint. That actually goes back up there eventually. So there's me clearing the top, trees, big bushes just overgrown, the shed roofs all fell in, there's junk I've got to clear up, it's just a mess up there. So quite a few fires I had and a couple of skips. Used a machete and a recip saw to cut through branches. Yeah, so that's the inside of one of the sheds, just destroyed. More bushes coming down. And then I built like a makeshift fireplace to burn everything. I think I had about 14 fires in total. There it is set up. Hose pipe on hand. That's the old summer house, completely destroyed. It was great when I first built it, but I didn't put the gradient right on the roof. There you go, first of many fires. Yeah, and then the apple tree grew over it, then other trees grew over the other side, and yeah, I just left it. I'd moved all my valuable stuff out there, and the rest just rotted away over years. So there you go, first fire done, and another. Started hacking away more the bushes. You can see a lot of it's gone at this point. And again, I was working on a really tight budget with this. I just wanted to source everything as free or as cheap as possible. Another word for it is upcycling or upcycle. I think once you get free materials, you become very creative. This is where I'm knocking this old summer house down. Shame I've got no footage when it was first built actually, but I didn't build it well. Timber. So that's pretty much the last fire. Bit of a clear area up there now. Then I dug up loads of stones and rocks and bricks, so I made some hardcore for a slabbed area that I'm putting down one side. And I made a framework to move that small shed, and I extended it as like a storage shed. There we go. Took the back panel off and put that along the side instead, just to extend it, and then made the floor and the roof and the other back part there out of OSB. And then refelted it and painted it. So here's the wooden garage that I bought, second hand, cost me about £350. I knocked him down actually, it was up for about £1,000, but the deal was I had to take it down myself. Now if you ever want to do this yourself, it's definitely worth it, because I think these new are about £5,000, I'd say they are, probably more actually. I think they're probably about £7,000. Oh, there's me making the frame, because I knew the size of this shed I bought, this garage. I made the framework out of 4x4 timber. I got that from a reclamation yard for timber, and yeah, I said this was 5 years ago and it's still standing strong. So there's the shed I bought, and yeah, the deal was I had to shift it myself. I had a certain time frame to do it as well, and the nails they used on them roofing panels were serrated and they had to all be resip sawed out. It was a big job, and it weighed a lot as well. They're in 12-foot sections. I did all this by myself, took it all down myself. My mate helped me on the first day for a morning, but at that point we had to get the barrels off, so I did the majority of it myself. But then I got a truck to help me pick it all up, and then my brother-in-law came round and helped me get it to the top of my garden. That was a mission. So there we go, that's the framework at the top of my garden now. Sorry, the panels on top of my framework. And the plan was to put those double French doors. They cost me a £5, those doors, to put them in the side. So putting the roofing panels on, it was really thick stuff. It's I think like 22mm plywood, and it was the tiled effect felt, which you can see on there. But I cut straight through that. You'd never take it off and reuse it, so I just cut straight through it. And then I thought I'll get my own felt and go over the top of it, and it worked well. I used bitumen and clout nails, and it stuck. It's still stuck down now, and I say this is 5 years later. So yeah, the inside, those cabinets there, got them for free. They're in my shed now actually, down one side with cupboard doors on the front of them. And there is where I'm going to put the double doors. So I've cut out an opening, and the section that I cut out from there, I reused that to fill in rotten parts around the outside of the shed. There I am putting the felt on. Good felt that is. I bought that off a guy off Gumtree, surplus to what he needed. So here's me taking rotten bits out and replacing. The worst bit was on the rear corner there. Just took the whole section out and reused the tongue and groove in there. And those windows, I removed them as well. That's the back wall to my Mancave shed, and yeah, took them out. First coat of paint with the doors in. Second coat, I think 3 coats did it, but it looks a bit like a static caravan at this point. So I'm putting the floor framework in. Just got them from a reclamation yard as well, and yeah, used chipboard flooring. I used chipboard flooring on that side, but on the other side I had some free chipboard that I got, which was about 9mm thick. That's a totally different story. But I used, oh, there's my sofas by the way, got them free. I got them too early, and that desk cost me a tenner. Yeah, so I got this 9mm chipboard for free. I won't go into it now, but it was a bad mistake using that. I wish I'd have done it with the same flooring on the other side now, but that's a different story. Yeah, and I could have used insulation in the flooring and a membrane. There's lots of other things I could have done, but it's still standing strong now. There's a lot of modifications I want to do to the outside of the shed, probably this summer actually, just to reinforce it a bit, but yeah. What you got to bear in mind as well, this shed was never, was it really meant for a man cave? It was more meant for a workshop. There's the wood, by the way, I got for free, and that polystyrene, I used that for installation. So it was mainly going to be a workshop with a bit of an office area in it, so it evolved into what it is now, like this man cave and everything else. So I probably would have invested a lot more in the floor if I knew what it was going to turn into. There's the framework for the other side for the flooring. And there's the barn doors. I've taken them off now, obviously, because I extended it. Now at this point I'm putting some trim on the front just to make it, give it a, I don't know, like a beam effect. 4 inch by 1 inch treated timber. More of that 9mm chipboard, and I was going to use that to line all the walls. There's the insulation going in. And the windows being sealed up, or windows taken out. And then there's the 9mm chipboard being used. Now for the interior, I painted it in white masonry paint. Now the reason for that was, that's the first coat by the way, is because a lot of people have said, well, using emulsion in sheds or garages, it tends to flake off. So I thought, I'm not going to use gloss or wood paint. I thought I'm going to use masonry paint. It copes well outdoors. Gave it about 3 coats in the end, and I'm looking at it now actually on my wall, and it still stood the test of time well. And painted the roof brown. Hindsight, I should have painted it white. It reflects light a lot better, but there you go. I'll probably paint it at some point. So there it is, all painted up on that side, and then to the other side. If you're new here, subscribe. I've got loads more videos to come. Cheers. And there we go, all the walls lined with the free 9mm chipboard. Be great if you give me a thumbs up at this point, really helps me out. Cheers. And ready for paint. And just so you know, this certainly isn't a how-to video. I'm just showing you what I've done, rightly or wrongly. But if you get something out of it, that's great. So at this point I'm making my first workbench. Again, I got it from a reclamation yard. Old plywood. Now at this point I got this free lino, 2 shades of grey, so I made it into a H. That wasn't enough to do one entire floor, so I thought, yeah, let's experiment a little bit. That's covered over now, by the way. So there's the first workbench in. Right, there's a TV bracket that swivels so you can see it outside as well. Now them set of drawers, I paint them later, you'll see what I do. Go with the lighting in, all lit up. Now there's the slabs I used, and I got them for a real bargain. They were advertised as slabs, but they're actually like a sandstone, like a Yorkshire stone or Cotswold stone. Anyway, it's great stuff. It cost me, I think it was like £30 for the lot. A real bargain. Just put it as slabs. At this point there, I'm levelling out the ground a bit, putting some topsoil down. Yeah, 1 or 2 footprints there. Jet wash the stone down. And then turf going down. Wasn't the cheapest turf, wasn't the most expensive, it was somewhere in between, and I got a deal off a guy. It's starting to take shape now. So at this point now, summer's starting to kick in as well, so summer always gives you a better feeling. When I started it, it was sort of November time when I started having the bonfires. Best time to have bonfires, by the way. Right, so I'm doing workbenches on the other side. That is an old coffee table there that I've used CLS to make legs. CLS on the top, and then some more of that reclaimed plywood. And then I start putting those cabinets you saw earlier up around the walls. And at the end of the shed as well. It's my workbench again, the original one. And I'm making this up as I'm going along. Oh, I'm putting lines in my turf there. Starting to go. It's probably about 3 weeks later, 4 weeks later, and first cut. Yeah, say making it up as I go along, whatever materials I've got. That is a wardrobe set that I got for free. So I cut that down. First of all, made some shelves. And then I started using the doors and the side panels to make other doors for all them cabinets that go all the way around the outside of the shed. Coming together now. I used old screwdrivers for the door handles there. And more doors, so you can see them cut to shape above. Now they were the main wardrobe doors, and I've cut them in two to make 6 doors. There was 3 of them, so I made 6 doors all along the front of that bench. I've made a back panel there to put some drawers in. I had 2 sets of brown drawers, like bedroom drawers if you like, and yeah, I sprayed one and then took the drawers out the other. At that point I'd painted the work surfaces black. So they're the drawers. Yeah, I painted them red, white and blue. I think I'm 8th French, I think it is, something like that. So I thought a bit of a tribute to my French heritage. There we go. And this is just the corner between the sofas, just like a work surface that you can lift the lid up on and you can store stuff away in there. So there's the doors done, and then I just wanted to put some lettering on there. Some decals, one on each door. Now these are the other set of drawers. Can you guess what I'm trying to paint here? Took a little bit of working out. I use rattle cans for this. There we go. That sits nicely at the end of that workbench. All my chop saws in the middle, if you notice. I don't think you can ever make a workshop or a man cave or a shed and that's the way it's going to stay for the future. I think modification changes happen all the time, from my experience anyway. So I've got some old tongue and groove here, painted them black, made them in 2 sections, and then I printed out the shed. That's called Carnival, that font, by the way. And then stenciled it, painted it. There it is, ready to go on the 2 doors above the set of Union Jack drawers. There we go. A few decals on the doors at that point. There's the TV facing out into the garden. And this is pretty much as it is before I built the extension. So I thought I'd show you as it is now. Say the playlist that I mentioned, I'll put a link below. So there we go, that's how it started. That's the next step. Next step. Next step. And that's how it is now with the extension. My new workbench at the end. So you haven't seen it already, I've got a tour of my man cave as well, so if you want to see that, I'll put a link below. Shows it with all the disco lights on as well, and the bar kitchen area. I'll put a link at the end of this video to my playlist of the extension build. Please give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed. If you're new here, subscribe. I've got a lot more videos to follow. Put your comments below. And thanks for watching. Take care. Cheers.